I want to ask you one question. Do you like all your relatives? I think the concept of destination wedding
Do you
started
like all
just
your
to avoid
relatives?
some unwanted relatives. You know,
So, do you mean that we do international weddings only because we want to keep certain relatives off the wedding?
I think so because I belong to a Punjabi family. तो होता क्या है वो कहते हैं कि ऐना नू ऐवे नहीं हो सकता कि बुलाइए ना तो फिर बाहर ही चलो आन गई नहीं.
चलिए वो भी अच्छा है, great.
Shikha Singh, who's an anchor, content curator, and a conversationalist. She's going to be coming up on stage and curating this entire conversation. Let's give our lady a big, big round of applause whilst as we welcome Shikha on the stage.
So from an anchor to the role of a conversationalist today, my very bright discussants are on stage. Please welcome them with a zordar talia and of course all the applause is in the air. A warm, warm welcome to the three of you. So yes, like Bhavna said, talking about the proverbial, big fat Indian wedding that is of course always known for its opulence, for its scale, and also the diversity. So if I'm not wrong and if the research is right, a staggering 1 crore weddings take place in India every year, and the industry is rising at a pace of more than 30%. Now, people across cultures, ladies and gentlemen, they wish to be a part of Indian weddings. They want to witness it, and I think we do give them the right reasons to do so. So, even when the Indian wedding industry, when we talk about it being unorganized, still, no doubt the big spends that go into it definitely do make our economy thrive. Suppose the COVID, when we are back with a band, we are here to decode the wedding rebound with the who's who and the movers and shakers of the industry. So with all the love that you have for my panel, let's just dive into the conversation. Now I'm going to play like a quick rapid fire with the three of you. You both together, because you are teachers as well in your own capacity, educating the Gen Next on system and processes if you talk about.
So I guess you're asking all the right questions. So IMA has taken this upon themselves that they're going to do a wedding certification.
Now, this is a different question wherein I was particularly intrigued because it happens a lot of times when I'm doing corporate shows that only if I want like a little track to be played, I want the audience to be engaged and maybe do some signature step or just dance along. It is not possible. Reason, licenses. Now, when we talk about music, that is such an inevitable part of all our celebrations, right?
So I've been hearing this story for, I don't know, about 10, 12 years now. Some states insist it has to be there. Some licenses, some want to take, some licenses are not required to be taken. So there is no common consensus. Of course, something that we as IMA, our seniors, are looking at. And amount is very funny. When I remember when we started, I was told it was 15 rupees per person to be counted as. When it was PPL and IPRS, approximately 15 rupees per seat, per person. And then suddenly they said 22,000 rupees. आप 22 दे दो, doesn't matter 3,000 है कि 5,000 है. कहने को पूछते हैं, they ask once, how many people? But Mandoli. Mumbai language, Mandoli.
So when we talk about the industry estimates, we know that when we talk about weddings, half of the money goes unrecorded. There seems to be no industry benchmark or say the fixed rate, and that's why we call the sector unorganized, and sometimes it also earns not such a good reputation to the sector. So if you talk about the traditions of our incredible India, and if I were to go to examples, for example, if handicrafts come under the Ministry of Textiles and say Ayurveda comes under Ayush Ministry, do you think, and I know you're on the path, so do you think that there could be something like an Events Regulatory Authority of India for events in general, and of course I'm going to ask weddings in particular. So for example, when you talk about the real estate sector, which was also an unorganized sector, so for it to become organized, a huge role the biggies had to play. For example, maybe a Tata Housing or say Godrej Properties. So will that also make sense if the bigger players, sort of contribute and have the same stake in the wedding industry?
So I have a very different view. I feel weddings can get corporatized, and I feel that's where we are gunning towards. We are gunning towards the cashless transactions for weddings. That's the first thing to make a business investable, right? There are tech funds who are also looking at wedding tech enabled businesses.
So, pegged at say a 6 billion USD, when we talk about the Indian wedding industry, the upsurge is not just for the destination weddings but also international weddings. So, so much so that the Thai officials they're wanting to tie up with our Indian wedding fraternity to boost their tourism. And the Bollywood celebrities, of course, we take cues from there as well. They made Europe popular for that matter. So I want to understand from each one of you very quickly, because we would love to take up audience questions as well. What's causing the trend, or is it just a fad that will fade away? So yeah, we'll start with you, Prerna, and I know partially what's your answer, but let's just hear it for the audience. Yeah.
Every year I hear, today there were 30,000 weddings in a day in India. You know, the Shubh Din, सारे जो 25-15 Shubh Din होते हैं, weddings happen every day. So it's not that weddings don't happen in India, but because a wedding is a very personal dream, it is difficult to convince somebody. And today, most of them have made up their mind. They've lived that dream that I will get married here.
For my last question, I'm going to only take the binary answers from the three of you. We'll start with you, Rahul, again. So, because 80% of the planning when we talk about weddings these days is online. So, but you know, there's a catch. A lot of products and services for the opulent wedding that are needed. Do you think everything can really be managed online? And do we really need a dedicated e-commerce portal for wedding, like an Amazon wedding something? Yes or no?
Well, not 100% online.
What a fabulous discussion. We'd request you to please step forward so that you can all come together. Once again, let's give a big round of applause to Prerna, Thanaz, Rahul and Shikha.